Hey everyone, welcome back to 100 Days of Coding JavaScript. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about arrays. Now in JavaScript, an array is a special type of object. We already talked about object in previous video. I don't know the exact number, but it's a good idea, you go and watch that video first and then probably you can come back here because array is a built-in object in JavaScript. So an array is a special type of object that is used to store collection of data items. Each data item in an array is called an element, and each element is identified by its index. And we're going to understand each and everything, okay? Which is a numeric value starting from 0 for the first element, and then it goes on. So in JavaScript, array is a special type of object. So it's an object. So objects are going to have the properties and methods. That's for sure, right? And it is used to store the collection of data. So let's create our first array and we are going to store the collection of data into it, right? So say suppose, let's take this example. Now in your project, maybe you need to store the collection or the list of fruits, right? So maybe like you're building a fruit app or something like that, or fruit game or anything, and you need to store the collection of all the fruits. So how you're going to do that? So I need to go back to my code editor. So probably what you can do, you can create different variables like you can say let fruit 1 is equals to say suppose apple. Then you can say let fruit 2 is equals to banana, and let fruit 3 is equals to orange. You already see, right? We have to write a lot of code to create different fruits variables. And this is not a good idea. I need to have a data type. I need to have a way to store all of these fruits together in one object or one kind of a variable, right? To do that, we have something called an array. So I'm going to create a new array. So let's go with const for now. And I'm going to create a fruits array. Now, array is nothing but a way of creating data in JavaScript. So the syntax of array is something like that. This is similar, right? I'm creating a variable fruits, and then you need to use something called square brackets. Now, in what goes inside this square brackets is a collection of data. So I can take each and every fruit here, like I can take the apple, I can put inside it. I can take the banana, I can put inside it. And I can put the orange also. And even I can add more fruits, like let's go with the kiwi also. See that? So this is how we create an array in JavaScript. Pretty easy, right? Fruit 1, fruit 2. So I don't need to have separate variables for everything, right? I can just comment this code, or maybe I'll keep it just for the reference. So pretty simple, right? This is how you create an array. And if you want to print an array, we're going to just do the console.log and let's see what we are getting inside the fruits array. So if I see that, you see the same output, right? Now you must be observing something really interesting here, right? So each fruit in this array is having some kind of number like 0, 1, 2, 3, right? And sometimes, maybe you need to access the banana, or maybe because in case of variables, you can just say fruit 2 and you can access the banana. If you want to access apple, you can say the fruit 1. But in case of the array, we have fruits, and inside that fruits, we have different fruit names, right? How can I access the banana? How can I access the orange? How can I access the kiwi? This might be the question you must be thinking. Now, to access the array element, we have to follow a really simple syntax. So you just need to say console.log and you'll say fruits. So you're going to access the fruits array, and then you can use the square brackets. So if I go back to my notes, see here, each data item in an array is called an element. Okay, so this is an element, this is an element, this is an element. So everything you see here is called an element. Okay, and each element is identified by its index, which is a numeric value starting from 0. This is important, starting from 0. So say suppose I want to access the first element. apple, right? I'm going to say 0, not 1. So it always starts with 0, then 1, then 2, and then 3. This is pretty important, right? So 0. So this is how I can access the apple. And you see that we are getting the apple as an output. Say, suppose I want to access orange, right? So we're going to start counting from 0, 0, 1, and 2. That's how you can access the orange. See that? You're getting the orange as an output. Now, as I said, right, arrays are objects in JavaScript. So we know objects have the props and it got the methods also, right? We have seen in the video of the objects, right? So object has props and methods. So array is an object. So obviously this array is definitely going to have some properties and some method, right? So let's talk about the property. In case of array, the very important property that you're going to need most of the time is called the length of the array. Means what is the size of the array, right? So in case of our fruits array, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 items in it. And how can I get that count? You can get that count by using something called console.log. You'll say fruits dot. So it is an object, right? And how to access the properties of an object? We can use the dot syntax and the name of the properties. That property name is length. So if you anytime you want to access the length of the array or the size of the array, you're going to say fruits dot length, and that's going to give you the length of the array. Now this is 4, right? Because we got 1, 2, 3, 4 elements in it, correct? And the index starts with 0, 1, 2, 3. So index is always I minus 1. Okay, so it will start at 0, 1, 2, and it will go up to 3. Pretty simple, right? Now, this is the property we have in array. Arrays have so many methods also. And if you, anytime you want to refer the arrays method, you can just search for JavaScript array method. And you will be able to see the list of methods. Let's go to the Mozilla site, okay? And if you see here, array has indices. And if I could scroll down, we got the length. Now these are all the different methods we have in array, right? You have the concat, copy within, every, filter, flat. There's so many methods available inside an array. If you see here, I'm going to talk about maybe one or a couple of them. So whenever like you're working on array in any project, it's a good idea, based on your requirement, you can go and search for the Mozilla, and nowadays you can use chat GPT also, and you can ask the questions, right? So based on the scenario. So say suppose I have a scenario where I want to add a new element to an array. Okay, so how can you do that? So you can ask ChatGPT also, how can I add a new element to an array? Or you can refer this developer.mozilla.org site also. So I'll go back to my code editor, but before that, I'm going to just resize this one till here. Okay, now let's come back here. So say suppose I want to add a new fruit inside our fruits array. How can I do that? So I can say fruits dot push. The dot push is a method which adds an element at the end of an array. So we have apple, banana, orange, kiwi. Let's add some grapes, right? I'm going to save, and then we're going to console.log our fruits array again. Fruits. I'm going to save. See that? Initially we had apple, banana, orange, kiwi. Now we have apple, banana, orange, kiwi, and grapes. So this is how you add a new element into an array. Say suppose you want to grab the element from an array. So if you want to grab the last element, so like I have added the grapes here and I want to grab the grapes, okay, or I want to remove the grapes or pop out the grapes from the array, you can always refer the documentation here. So what is the meaning of pop? So let's go and search for pop method here. Okay, this is the pop method. No. Okay, we got the pop, right? So what pop does, pop method removes the last element from an array and returns that element. So this method changes the length of an array. Pretty important, right? So let's do that. So fruits dot pop. I'm just going to say pop. You don't need to pass any argument here. It is going to return the popped item. So I'm going to say item, or maybe we'll say element. So so it's going to return the last element. So in our case, it's going to be grapes because I have added grapes right here. So it's going to return grapes. Let's see what happens, what we get inside the element. And we'll log the element. And I'm going to log the array again. So console.log r save. And if I go back, see that initially we had 4 items, then apple, orange. These are these logs, right? Let's go at the end. See that I'm getting the grapes, which is the last item of the array, last element in the array. And finally, that element has been popped out or removed from the array. That's why you're able to see only apple, banana, orange, kiwi, because pop method actually modifies the array. It's very, very important point, right? This method changes the length of an array. So keep that in mind. So these are some of the methods that we can use, right? So there are a lot of methods you can just go and refer the documentation and understand. Let's talk about another point which is related to objects. So array is an object, right? And array can have objects too. So I'm going to create a new array here called students, which is going to be the collection of objects. So I can have multiple students inside my array. Say suppose John, and John's grade is maybe C minus. Okay, so I put one object, one student object inside it. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to add another student. So let's do some formatting. All right, so if I want to put another student, I can just copy and paste. Maybe this student is name is Linda, and she got maybe the A grade, right? So I can create array of objects also. And to grab the property name properties, right, you can just do the console.log. And same way you can access the array. Like if say suppose I want to access the first student, which is Linda, right? And I want to print her name. I can just say, so I'm accessing students 1, which is going to give me this object. Then again, I'm using the dot name to access the name of that student. See that? I'm getting Linda here. So you can have, and most of the times, we're going to have array of objects. That's why, I wanted to show you this example. Now you can have arrays of different data types also in JavaScript. So you don't have a restriction. Like if you go to Java language, like you can create array of integers, strings, or booleans like that, right? But in case of JavaScript, you don't have that kind of restrictions. Arrays can have or can contain different type of data types also. So let's create one example of a mixed array. Maybe I'm going to call it mixed array. And inside that, I'm going to put all kind of data, right? I'm going to put the apple. This is string, right? I'm going to put the number, maybe 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put the Boolean value like true. And I can put null. I can put undefined. So all kind of data I can put inside an array, and I can create the mixed array, and it's not going to throw any error. So if I log this array, you can see mixed array. Cool. See that? It's working perfectly fine. Okay, so there's a lot to talk about in array. This is more of, tools I'm going to give you, because we're going to use all of these tools, the basic tools, right? So this is more of a basics of array that we are trying to understand here. And we are going to use all of these tools to write our JavaScript application. That's why I'm covering the surface about all these topics, right? Maybe we can have, I can have more videos around array where I'm going to talk about arrays in details. So let's have a quick recap, right? So we have seen, like say suppose I want to create multiple fruits, I have to create different variables related to those fruits. To solve that problem, we can create something called array. Array is nothing but collection of data, like collection of fruits we have here, right? Now how can I access the array elements, right? So we call each item an element in array, and we can access those elements using something called the syntax fruits, and then the square brackets, and the indexing starts with 0, 1, 2, 3. So it starts with 0. Always remember, if you say array fruits of 1, it's going to return banana, not apple. So 0th item is actually apple. Arrays are objects, right? So it got properties and methods. So length is a very important property. We are going to use so many times, right? So it's going to return the length of the array. In this case, 1, 2, 3, 4. And arrays have methods also, like properties. We have methods. I can add a new element to array using push method. I can grab the last element of an array using the pop method. We can define array of objects too. And we can define mixed arrays also containing different data type in an array. Okay. So this is all about arrays. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to see you in the next video with a new topic. Until then, you take care. Goodbye. And thanks for watching the video.